Today on the news and why it matters, the Oscars, also a tale of two Democrats on abortion, and Joe Biden mocks the idea of guns as a defense against the government. We've got a lot coming up on this Monday, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by the one and only cowboy here in the studio, Chad Prather of the Chad Prather Show.
I'm not a cowboy anymore. I gave it up. Nope, not at all.
But you're wearing the hat.
That's all I'm doing.
Okay,
That's
weirdo.
It, just that.
We have got author of the MAGA Doctrine, Charlie Kirk, in the house. If I said all of your titles, I think we'd be here for 5 minutes.
Thank you. That's
but the most recent and the book that everyone, everyone needs to pick up, the MAGA Doctrine.
Thank you.
Do you say MAGA or MAGA?
Well, that's a whole different. Is it magazine or MAGA? I got in this whole conversation. Right? It depends on the day.
Okay, all right. I won't hold you to.
I'm usually a MAGA person.
Okay, all right. The MAGA Doctrine by Charlie Kirk. Go pick it up wherever books are sold. And also Jason Buttrill, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program, in the house. All right, got a lot to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Books. So Valentine's Day, obviously around the corner. Gentlemen, don't forget, it's Friday. Just as a little reminder, we women know you guys need reminders every once in a while. Well, Books has you covered for that. That is BOUQS, as in bouquets of flowers. They have beautiful farm fresh flowers for next or same day delivery. Order today and get 25% off of your entire purchase. All you got to do is go to books.com/blaze. That is BOUQS.com/blaze for 25% off with the code BLAZE. I bought some for my mom not too long ago, and she sent me pictures. They were gorgeous, and they stayed gorgeous for it was over a week. She kept sending me pictures of the lifespan of these flowers. They never died. So don't forget your mom. Don't forget your wife. Don't forget your daughter. Whoever it is that you would like to share love with on Valentine's Day, you got to go to books.com/blaze today with 25% off with the code BLAZE. So obviously the Oscars are trending today. Everyone, I feel like on social media is talking about the Oscars, but strangely enough, I have not run into anyone who's actually watched the Oscars. Did anyone at the table watch it?
No. Heck no. I never watched it.
I don't understand how is this is trending and nobody watches it.
You know, it used to be fun to be able to see your favorite actors or actresses go out there and kind of be in real life. But these days it's become a social justice program. Mm-hmm. And so we avoid it like the plague. I mean, there's a bunch of sock puppets parroting the exact same things over and over again. And at the end of the day, you are the court jester. At what point in time did you start interpreting the shadows on the wall in the cave? You're not, take your trophy, go home with it. And we don't care about your angst, your Weltanschauung, or your worldview. Just leave it at home. We don't care. Because who's Brad Pitt to tell me how to live my life?
Good movies used to take home the Oscar. And it was notable, oh yeah, that movie, Forrest Gump won. And it was obvious that should win. Now it's like you literally can predict it and place bets. Actually, I'm doing that next year. Just pick the most woke in each class. Yeah. Who's the most woke actor, played the most woke lead, and the most woke movie, and that's going to win, regardless of the merit of the movie.
Yeah, Charlie, what's your take on the Oscars?
No, I didn't watch proudly. Yeah.
I feel like the only people who watched is just Hollywood themselves. Yeah. That's the only people who are interested in who wins the Oscars.
It's a marionette show. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Just dance for your owners.
I wish I had more to offer, but I did. In fact, I did not watch it. And every time my husband was on the phone sitting next to me, scrolling on Twitter, and he'd go, "Oh, so-and-so won." And I swear I repeated myself 3 times at least. I said, "Honey, I really can't stress to you enough how much I don't care. Yeah. How little I care about the Oscars. I really don't care. I don't even want to know who won. It doesn't matter anymore."
I think a vast majority of the country is starting to wake up, especially after the Weinstein stuff, of wait a minute, these people that we've been glorifying are actually absolute turds. And it's like, you know the industry that I worked at when I worked over there, and so many people are like, "Oh, you work with that A-lister. What was that like?" And like, "Oh, they're such a good person, right?" And I'm like, "Ooh, actually, if I could tell you stories." And I would say 9 out of 10, they're all horrible human beings.
Yeah.
9 out of 10.
Yeah.
90%.
Let's not get Jason started on the hypocrisy of Hollywood. We'll be here all day.
We could make a whole episode out of that.
We really could. Let's see. Okay, so over the weekend, the Democrats were out in full force. We had the debate on Friday night. We also had a presidential forum. It was called Our Rights, Our Courts, hosted by the Demand Justice Initiative, the Center for Reproductive Rights, and NARAL. So you know that it's going to be fun of, full of, lots of pro-life stuff, right? No, not. So Bernie Sanders, a couple different moments from here. Let's kind of contrast the tale of two Democrats on abortion and what is accepted in the party and what is not. First, we've got Bernie Sanders, who was asked if there's any room in the Democrat Party in 2020 for a pro-life Democrat. And here's a little bit of what he had to say.
Then is there such a thing as a pro-life Democrat in your vision of the party?
I think being pro-choice is an absolutely essential part of being a Democrat. If you're asking me, and I think I may be wrong on this, I think in the Senate, probably 95% of the Democrats are pro-choice. You have a few who are not. In the House, maybe even a higher percentage. So that's kind of what my view is. I think by this time in history, I think when we talk about what a Democrat is, I think being pro-choice is essentially an essential part of that.
Charlie, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they're making our argument for us, but I mean, it's extraordinary the disregard for human life that Democrats have. And look, the lobby that he's standing in front of, the Center for Reproductive Rights, NARAL, who's run by this woman, Elise Hogue, it is so beyond radical what their position is. And we talked about this on your show, but this is the most important issue. When every other issue flows downstream from when does life begin and what do you do? How do you treat those that can't defend themselves? And I mean, if you really dive into it, Bernie Sanders has made population control arguments for abortion. He has. I mean, he has said that climate change is because we have too many people, and abortion is a good thing as it keeps the population controlled. This is eugenics. It is, pure and simple. And anything less than that is just not looking at it accurately. And you have. I mean, this is a great way to turn off voters in Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio. And I think it's incumbent on our generation to play offense on the abortion issue.
Yeah,
let's not forget the black voters that are out there, because by and large, you have a lot of the black population in America who are faith-based people who are absolutely opposed to that. So when you come out and you say you're pro-choice, we've had this conversation for 50 years. The opposite of pro-life is not choice, it is death. You're pro-death. And last night we talked about the Oscars. You have Joaquin Phoenix, who's accepting a Best Actor speech, who gets up there and he's talking about artificially inseminating cows and then stealing the cow babies. You can't say that, Peter. I mean, you can't, but you can't say that about babies. Right. You can't talk about human life because there is this difference that we have, and this is an ideological thing that truly, and we've talked about this many, many times. This is when God removes his hands and the grace is gone and the protection is gone from your nation. When you don't defend those who are voiceless and are innocent.
Jason, your thoughts?
That's an amazing way to how they framed that. Is, do you think that pro-choice has any place at all in one party? And I love that, kind of like what pro-life. I love how Charlie voiced that is, they're making our case for us. Right. They really are. Yeah. Like, and if you're one of those middle-of-the-road candidates who's like, maybe I might jump on, the Trump train, or I'm not sure, let's see, I don't know, like they're looking for a candidate, anyone at all, then you're just jumping completely off. Yeah. Like, fine. If my views are now considered radical for you, then fine, I'll jump over. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. Saying something like that used to be radical for the Democrats. Saying so, they would be like, oh, I won't say that. Now they don't care. Well, it's just all out in the open.
I mean, you look at, just to add to Charlie's point here, you look at Roe versus Wade, that was supposed to be safe, legal, and rare, and that was kind of the threshold that they used. And now they've changed, all the way from that to no, there's no room for anyone pro-life in the party. On top of that, we had Andrew Yang, who again, never once in this forum said, I don't think that a woman should have the right to choose. He very adamantly said, I believe a woman should have the right to choose at any point in her pregnancy. I just don't think it's something to be celebrated. Let's listen to what Andrew Yang had to say and how he was criticized for it later. Watch.
I think we have to get back to the point where no one is suggesting that we be celebrating an abortion at any point in the pregnancy. That there was a time in Democratic circles where we used to talk about it being something that, like, you don't like to see, but that should be within the freedoms of the woman and the mother to decide. And so, to me, I think there is a really important tone to set on this, where you don't just say, like, we're absolutist about it, though I have to say I am relatively absolutist on this. Like, I think that it should be completely up to the woman and her doctor, and the state should not be intervening all the way through pregnancy. But it's a tragedy to me if someone decides that they don't want to have a child and they're on the fence, and that maybe at some point later, I mean, it's a very, very difficult personal decision, and it should be something that we're very, very sensitive to. I think that celebrating children, family, like, these are universal human values. And if we manage to lead on that and then say, but we also stand for women's reproductive rights, I believe we can bring Americans closer together on a really, really important personal issue.
Look, Andrew Yang gets a little bit of a hall pass for me because he is running a single issue campaign of, giving people free money.
UBI, yeah.
I kind of like the guy. I mean, he's not a power hungry politician. I think that's perfectly fair. His son didn't sit on a corrupt board in Ukraine, and he didn't sell us out to the Chinese, and he didn't honeymoon in the Soviet Union. So exactly.
He's never claimed to be a Native American.
No, so
These are all very low bars, though, Charlie.
no, but look, I could do an hour on that whole stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
But any honest member of the press that wasn't part of the pro-abortion lobby, and I want to make a point on that in a second, because their money stream is based on people's overly inflated abortion costs. And I'll get to that in a second, but it's no different than any other lobby. No different than any other lobby. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Today, 3,000 children will be executed. 3,000 every single day. And that's an unbelievable number. It's 1 million a year, more or less. 3,000 today, 3,000 yesterday, 3,000 tomorrow. It's an incomprehensible number. But going to Andrew Yang, he says, well, I think not have a child. Pause, time out. Wait, so it's a child?
Right,
It's a fetus.
right.
You're already
right.
admitting, again, you have no, I would love to be able to get booed off stage at that place and just ask a very simple question, is when does life begin? If you guys cannot answer that question, then, and again, you don't have, it's not your rights if it's not your DNA.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter how early formed that DNA is, but if it's not your DNA, it's not your body.
Yeah.
You just happen to be hosting it.
Yeah. Chad, I want to get your thoughts as well as Jason's. Let me just throw in a couple of these, the reactions from Andrew Yang daring to say, maybe we shouldn't be shouting our abortions. Maybe we should treat it with, the seriousness that it's due. Here's one. It's time for Andrew Yang to drop out. This take on abortion is completely disqualifying. Using this type of language is part of the forced birth movement, which I didn't realize saying I believe in abortion at any point in the pregnancy, let's just not celebrate it, guys, is part of the, quote, forced birth movement. Let's see. Jeff Yang, I don't believe any relation to Andrew, tweeted, oof, Andrew, no. How about we have to get back to the point where nobody is questioning the rights of women over their own bodies, empowering women, ensuring their health and safety. These are universal human values. And then one last one, Matthew Chapman, cool. So in summary, Yang is fine with safe and legal abortions as long as women feel judged and ashamed while getting them. Glad we've cleared that up. I mean, how backwards is this that now empowering women is killing their own children and going and touching their own genitals on stage at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, to Charlie's point, as soon as that male egg fertilizes that female, the male sperm fertilizes the female egg, you have a DNA imprint. That blueprint is set for life. That is who you are as an individual for the rest of your life. Fearfully, wonderfully made, if you want to get spiritual and scriptural about the thing. But at the end of the day, they're using this as a form of birth control. This is not about the woman's body. And by the way, you don't have the right to go out there and do anything you want to do with your body. If you just take a hatchet and chop your hand off, they're going to put you in an asylum somewhere because you're not right in the head. So she's not doing anything with her own body. This is about that unborn child who has its own blueprint for life. And so to sit there and say, well, you're against women, look, 97% of these abortions are done for the matter of convenience. It's absolutely ridiculous. The statistics and biology just don't match up with the logic.
Yeah. Jason, it seems like Bernie's point was just kind of proven there. Not only is there not room for pro-life Democrats, there's not room for pro-choice Democrats who even have a problem with, the serious level.
Exactly, right there. What I find a couple of things amazing in that right there. One, first of all, the backlash is because they don't want to have this thrown in their face that they know it's morally wrong. They know it's morally wrong, but they're arguing for it anyway. And you could see that on stage. That's basically what he was saying. Okay, yes, it's morally wrong for us to be doing this. Oh, but I'm fully on board with doing it, but it's morally wrong.
That's a great point.
Are you kidding me now? But he's throwing that in the face, something that should be, is very obvious to them. They know this. And I think one day they'll have to answer for all of this. I mean, that's, what do you say, $1 million a year or something like that?
Yeah, it's been well over 63 million since Roe versus Wade. Half of which are women, by the way.
Right.
And there's a lot of conversation in the country over, oh, do we, immigrants for this? We wouldn't need immigrants if we weren't executing our own kids. So basically, the whole argument of the pro-choice lobby, the pro-abortion lobby, is we're fine with the rest of the world having children, and then we'll bring them into our country, but we want the convenience to be able to slaughter our own. That's basically the entire abortion argument. It's like, it's okay if the rest of the world has the kids, but we'll bring them in and then turn them into voters that we want.
Yeah, and God forbid they get in cages or whatever. I mean, that logic gets so bad. But I'm with you. I kind of like Andrew Yang, but you could see him walking out on that plank mentally, and you could see the wheels turning.
He's somewhat innocent. He hasn't done a lot of thinking about these issues.
Yeah.
That's why I'm give him somewhat of a hall pass. I mean, he's not an ideologue.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next, Pete Buttigieg calls to decriminalize all drug possession. We've got a lot to get into when we return.
Yeah.
I read that and thought, man, she's going to be all for that.
Yeah.
Before we get into Pete Buttigieg and decriminalizing all drug possession, we would like to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So obviously the point of the Second Amendment is to fight governmental tyranny. And that's basically, if you guys haven't heard, we've covered it on the show extensively, that's what's being proposed in Virginia. They are essentially stripping you of due process, and they would allow localities to ban outdoor gun ranges by changing the zoning. So they're trying to take away your Second Amendment rights. They're trying to prevent you from safely practicing with your firearm. That is why a product like iTarget is so crucial right now in this country. Using their proprietary app and laser bullet, iTarget Pro will allow you to safely practice training with your actual firearm. This is your firearm in the convenience and privacy of your own home. And by the way, that doesn't mean you're like shooting holes in your couches and your walls, okay? It's a laser bullet, so you're not firing the bullet everywhere. It comes in all the major calibers, including .223 and .556. This means less driving to the range, less ammo, also less government bureaucrats, which you guys can all be happy about. You can get 10% off right now, plus free shipping with offer code NEWS. Look, we still have to fight for our rights, but get iTarget because you know they're going to try to ban that too. I'm sure Governor Blackface Northam is like putting up the proposal right now to ban iTarget. Okay, so you got to go to itargetpro.com, use offer code NEWS to get 10% off plus free shipping. itargetpro.com, promo code NEWS. So Pete Buttigieg was speaking to Chris Wallace at Fox News over the weekend, and he was talking to him about his policy on drugs. He did call, I believe on his website, part of his platform is to decriminalize possession of all drugs. He kind of tried to walk that back a little bit, add some nuance into the conversation. I don't know that that's really what he meant. I think he's just kind of playing politics, but let's listen to what Pete Buttigieg had to say.
Well, I think the main thing we need to focus on is where you have distribution and the kind of harm that's done there. Where, yeah, of course, it's important that it remain illegal, but
you would decriminalize it, so it wouldn't be illegal.
Possession should not be dealt with through incarceration,
but you would say that possession of heroin is not illegal.
Is not going to be dealt with through incarceration.
But your website says decriminalize. It would not be illegal.
Yes, or it could be a misdemeanor. The point is not the legal niceties. The point is that we have learned through 40 years of a failed war on drugs that criminalizing addiction doesn't work.
Chad, what are your thoughts here? You mixed?
No.
Okay.
Look,
you look like you're struggling a little bit.
I want to say things. And you know how I fight back the jokes and the things. But he says nothing. Buttigieg, when he starts talking, he says nothing. He is groomed to say nothing. And so anything that comes out of his mouth, he's a pander bear at the end of the day. That's all he is. And he says nothing. You can't he'll change that again by tomorrow. It's nonsense. And I don't even want to get into the legalization or decriminalization of drugs. That's nonsense.
Well, I mean, I do kind of want to get into it a little bit to the extent that I feel like there is a growing trend within the Democrat Party of just completely doing away with laws in general, right? We're not going to criminalize crossing the border. Now we're talking about not criminalizing drug possession, including heroin and meth. I mean, I feel like it really is important to look at this and say what laws are we supposed to be abiding by?
Well, but then of course they want to tell you what you can drink where
Right.
your kid goes to school and they want
Right.
to take your guns away, and that they want a selective amount of fascism that can be enforced by their group of elites. But look, I mean, this is an issue personally where I used to be a lot more libertarian, and I'm less and less convinced that the legalization of drugs is good for our country.
Right.
I mean, I guess I was somewhat open-minded when I was young, where I was like, oh yeah, everyone's doing drugs anyway. Wouldn't it be great if we taxed it? California's a hellhole.
Exactly.
And Colorado's a hellhole now.
Yeah.
I mean, Colorado is a disaster. You go to Denver, that city, you cannot walk around that city. You just can't. And you look at kids. So first of all and I have a lot of respect for the libertarian philosophy. Less and less convinced if you implement this into ideas, it actually does anything positive for the country. They say, oh, it won't increase usage. That's not true. More people are using marijuana than ever before in Colorado. Oh, kids won't get their hands on it in the black market. That's not true. You got 8 and 9-year-olds doing edibles in Colorado at an alarming rate. Like, oh, it's actually not that bad for you. No, that's not true either. The stuff they're lacing it with is worse than ever before. So I'm just this whole idea of this indulgence movement by the left and the people on the right that are like, oh yeah, we can get lots of tax revenue out of it. No, it makes our country lazy, and it makes us less competitive. And I think at some point we have to ask ourselves, how much territory are we going to give up to the left until we don't have a country anymore?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Charlie here, and I was like,
I used to be like libertarian, like, yeah, it could all work great, let's tax it.
Right, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't affect me.
No, it does.
Go ahead. Right, but it very, very clearly.
Well, let's just legalize fentanyl. I mean, while we're at it,
No, but even if it's
everybody
weed,
just be dead in the street.
I can't get a rental car in Colorado, California without it smelling like weed. Every hotel smells like weed. The people that are working are lazier and more inept than ever. And I don't think that makes us a competitive country.
Well, I mean, and you look at San Francisco, there's needles all over the streets now, because people are allowed to just go and shoot up and go on their merry way.
I mean, I'm becoming more libertarian the older I get, and
So you're a secret drug user, is what you're trying to tell us.
no, that's what's weird is the whole drugs and prostitutes thing's hard to get over for me to fully jump on board, and the open borders thing. There's a few things.
So just
I'm a
those
weird
major
libertarian.
little-
I'm a libertarian on guns. I am.
And I'm a hawk
schools.
in foreign policy, so that doesn't fit with them either. No, but I don't think so. I think there's a difference between some things that grow, like marijuana, mushrooms, things like that. If they're bad for me, that's on me. If I want to do those things, that's on me. I don't say the government should say, hey, you 18-year-old, you can't smoke cigarettes, because that's absolutely ridiculous, because they can also go to war. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's 21.
I mean, yeah, no,
Knock that in.
but it used to be 18. So, like, what the hell? When does that stop?
Here.
Whenever
I know. I'm just thinking, processing.
Whenever you, in my opinion, when you open that door to where the government can tell you what is, if I want to destroy my life, then that is my freedom to do so. You know what I'm saying? Now, you do step over, there are certain boundaries when, you have things like fentanyl, or you have things like heroin, or you have these things that are processed, which, I'm just not willing to make that leap as far as, I guess that's where my libertarianism
But over the
runs into a brick
weekend,
wall.
there was a headline that came out about a woman in Florida who was busted for having an 8-ball of meth delivered to the school. She was a 3rd grade teacher, and for a pickup. And we hear that and we're flabbergasted, and we're like, what? How crazy is that? But when we talk about decriminalizing, we're saying, yeah, that's okay.
But I mean, I philosophically want to agree with, oh yeah, it's my body, I can put whatever I want into it. That'd be great if we had a libertarian social safety net. We have a social safety net. So you have people that do marijuana that can go on public assistance, and then they're my tax burden. That's happening in Colorado. There's more people than ever that are on the public dole. And the second part of this, we've had a war on smoking in this country, and we've won. Like, the more we criminalize tobacco, the better our country has become. Europe has failed. Their smoking rates did not go down at all. This whole idea that, oh, we can't tell people what to put in their bodies. No, we did that with tobacco. Heart disease went down, cancer went down, lung cancer went down. France, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Italy, they cannot figure out their smoking dilemma. The youth are still smoking in high rates. We won because of government.
But I would say, but that's not government's job.
But it worked. Is the country better because of smoking bans?
But you can be authoritarian and fix a lot of problems.
Well, for example, like a restaurant. Are you okay with not being able to smoke in a restaurant?
Yeah, I'd enjoy it now.
Okay, that's a law. That's government. Government socially engineered that. Our country's better because of it.
Private industry could have done that as well.
They did, but it didn't work because it was secondhand smoke, and I didn't want to go there. It was a public health crisis. That's the point. With marijuana, is everything smells like marijuana now.
I'm sorry, we got to take a break real quick. Let me cut you off. We'll be back.
Hey, I was going to say something contrary.
Before we go into overtime, Chad, take it
Let me
away.
tell you something. I love being around Charlie Kirk because I can hear the hum of his brain, and I kind of feel smart just being around him from the effervescent presence.
Actually, I just feel really stupid when I'm around him because he's way smarter than everyone else.
His new book, The MAGA Doctrine, is so good. And you have people out there, if you're on social media and you're getting in an argument or you're having a debate with people, I'm telling you, this is the book you got to read that is common sense, down to earth, smart stuff, and you're going to love it. Get this book right here.